Welcome to Successful Philanthropy. I'm your host, Jean Shafiroff. This show is designed to highlight the work of philanthropic leaders here in the United States and then beyond. Today with us, a powerhouse of a woman. Her name, Anna Oliveira. And Anna is the Chief Executive Officer of the New York Women's Foundation. Let's all welcome back Anna Oliveira. And Anna, it is a great honor to have you back on the show. Anna, I want to start with a little bit about New York Women's Foundation. Many of our viewers know nothing about this 501c3, this nonprofit that does so much for women, empowering women out of poverty. But we want to hear from your words exactly what New York Women's Foundation does.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jean, for having me and for having the foundation. It makes such a difference for us. First of all, we want women and men to think of the foundation as your foundation. The foundation is the place where you can give to improve the lives of women and families. That's the fundamental thing you need to know. And it's a public foundation, so we accept everybody's contributions at all sizes. From the most modest contributions, we have monthly sustainers, to very large, generous individuals and foundations, other large foundations that support us. What is it that we do? We put the donations together and we go out and we look at organizations, we look at the work they're doing, we see that their work is based in the communities that they serve. And these communities are usually communities that don't get a lot of support. So we invest from a problem-solving perspective. I think that we all know all the problems we have. Fragile housing, not enough economic availability for families to support themselves, to feed their kids, for, risks that youth run, particularly in New York. And we invest in organizations that most of us don't know. They are in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Queens, in Staten Island, in certain areas of Manhattan. And they are very grassroots, but they are very strong. On a day-to-day basis, they respond to the needs of their community. So the foundation, is a group of people, an endless, enormous group of people, and I want to invite anybody to join, that puts together our donations and gives it to organizations that are making a difference.
Yes. Now, Anna, a lot of people watching this show do not realize that the New York Women's Foundation is one of the premier women's organizations in the world. Of course, around the world, underserved communities exist all over. Specifically in the United States, I believe New York Women's Foundation is one of the top 3 women's organizations. You've been around for a long time. I happen to be a board member, and I've been involved as a supporter and board member for many, many years. And why is that? It's because I truly believe in the work you do and what the foundation does and how it truly changes the lives of women and children by getting them out of poverty and also by standing up and being a voice for them. And I think we need worldwide more women and more men who are a voice for women. Anna, tell us a little bit about the beginnings. How did New York Women's Foundation actually begin?
First of all, Gina, I want to thank you for being a board member of the foundation and a great supporter, because your knowledge of philanthropy and the fact that you care and you care to share what philanthropy is about makes a big difference. The foundation began 37 years ago, and it came from a group of women, 3 women in New York, Helen Hunt, Gloria Millikan, John Warburg, who said, there are so many foundations, large foundations that are housed in New York. They're located in New York, but their dollars are not going to the families in New York. Their dollars are going to another part of the country, many of them global. These are large foundations. They're all in New York City, specifically in Manhattan. And but the people of New York that need the most are not the destination of the grants of those foundations. And they observed out of their own lives that we women are very underinvested. That, today, around 2% of philanthropic dollars go to organizations that are by women for women. What does that mean? Organizations that are run by women that, let's say, invest in women's businesses, organizations that are run by women that invest in young women. We would like to see young women in the least resourced areas of the city to have the opportunity to transcend the economic standards of their families of origin. We want them to do better. We want them to go to school, to complete their courses. We want them to choose to be a parent when they have the resources to do that. We want them to think of themselves in careers, not just go to elementary school and, junior high, but senior high, either getting a diploma, going to be a nurse, going to be a doctor, going to be a lawyer, going to be a technician, but having the sense of career. We know that this alters the life of the individual, alters the life of their family, and alters the life of their communities. So the foundation has made an emphasis in giving out a lot of grants. In New York, we are funding about 150 to 150 organizations annually. They are in the Bronx, they are in areas of Brooklyn, they are in Upper Manhattan and on the Lower East Side, they are in Staten Island. They are the first responders. When a family runs into trouble, there is a fire, somebody loses their job, the breadwinner or breadwinners lose their jobs. They go to those organizations. We fund them to find the next solutions. We fund organizations that have after-school programs for girls and young women that are going to school, but that after the school, their parents are at work or their mother is at work, and they need to have the opportunity to continue to develop themselves. We're so proud. Well, Custom Collaborative. We funded a group of women, immigrant women, that were seamstress and came together in New York and began to produce their own style of clothing. And out of that, are able to support themselves and their families. We funded Hot Bread Kitchen, which was a group of immigrant women that, what did they have? They had the skill of baking the breads from the countries they came from. And they have come together, this is over 10 years ago, they came together, they bake their breads. Their breads are artisanal breads, and they are able to support themselves and their families. Hot Bread Kitchen now is a job training program that assists hundreds of women in New York and their families. So I can give you examples that way that tell us that if we come together, and this was from the beginning of the foundation, the idea was if we come together, it doesn't matter what is our zip code of origin, so to speak. We all share that purpose of uplifting each other, of uplifting our families. So we put our monies together, we put our heads together, and we invest. And then after we invest, Jean, we don't abandon the grantee partner. We continue in a supportive relationship with them. So the success is very high.
And Anna, I don't want to interrupt you, but what you do and what New York Women's Foundation does is so incredibly important. And many of us watching this show, we live a comfortable life and we don't have to worry about the next meal. But for thousands and thousands, and actually millions and millions of people
Yes.
in the United States, they do have to worry about the next meal. And I can't think of anything worse for a mother, I'm a mother, than to be in a situation where you don't have money to put food on the table for your children. So, New York Women's Foundation, by empowering women, by giving them opportunities to go out and get jobs and to raise money on their own to empower their families, well, what could be better? Now, for the audience, we are with the Chief Executive Officer of the New York Women's Foundation, powerhouse of a woman, her name, Anna Oliveira. And Anna is now speaking about New York Women's Foundation and how all of us can get involved. Anna, what is the website for anyone watching this show who wants to help a woman and her family get out of poverty? What is the website to donate?
It's nywf.org. Please visit the site and think about what difference you can make. You know, when women do better, their families do better. When their families do better, another family does better, their communities do better. So it's really, when I first saw the foundation, I said, is it really that way? And we said, and we are a testimony that it is, that you fund, you support, you can also volunteer. You can also think about joining our board. You can also attend our events. In May 14th, we'll have our breakfast. But way before May, very soon, we'll be Giving Tuesday. Give a gift. Go to the website. Connect with us. And we are very accessible. If you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to meet with us, we can do that, Jean.
Yes. Now, Anna, how much money does New York Women's Foundation actually give away each year when they give out grants?
Our target is $10 million a year. The reason for that, you were speaking about the number of families. And by the way, I want to be very clear for everybody. These are working families. These are families in which the parent is working. It's just that the salaries, with the cost of living in New York City, they can't make it. They can't pay the rent, have food for, as you said, for children, for the family, pay transportation, pay clothes. The budget of expenses is not met by the salaries. The salaries are too low. But these are working families. And working families in New York, the number of people living in poverty in New York is about 20 to 25%. And so that means that we have a very large number of women, heads of households, who are working sometimes 2, 3 jobs in order to try to make means. So what do? We fund organizations that will give them training so maybe they can get a job that pays better. We fund organizations that will support their children while they are working, because children and young people need support, need opportunities. So think of the foundation as, you have a concern about New York, come to us. You have a concern about families, you see the issues about fragile housing or people that do not have housing, contact the foundation. I can guarantee you that we're working with 1 or 2 or 3 community-based organizations that are focusing on solving those problems.
So important. And for those of us who can afford food on the table and a good lifestyle, the gift of giving to help those that really struggle will not only help them, but it will make you feel good about what you do. Because at the end of the day, just to consume and to enjoy life and not to think about others who suffer, well, it's in my mind, it's not the right thing. If we want to live a life full of happiness and and feeling good about who we are as people, we have to reach out of ourselves and help those in need. And when you know that there are so many people living at or below the poverty level who are really struggling and whose children may truly be suffering, well, I think it's very important to do something. So, Anna, how much does the New York Women's Foundation still need to raise in 2024 to reach its goals? And tell us how you're going to go about raising all that money.
For 2024, our goal for the year-end appeal is about 1.3 million. And how are we going to go about? We're going about, for instance, taking this opportunity with you to let people know that every dollar you give is multiplied. We have currently a challenge grant of $400,000. So every dollar a person gives is going to be doubled. And I have a feeling that if we hit, or when we hit the 400,000, the same challenge will grow to another 400. So what does that tell us? It tells us that when you give, you're not alone. You just said that giving, there is such a sense of being a higher expression of our spirits and of our concern in our hearts. And that is true because it's the caring for others, right? But we all live in the city, we all live in the surrounding areas of the city, and we all benefit. When others do well, we know that the quality of life in the city is better, right? For all of us. And we know that the goal here is not to have people living in poverty, is not to have families that are unhoused, is not to have girls and boys that are not supported. So the goal here is to give, to help us raise that money. Every gift counts. Every gift counts. And
Even the smallest, right?
the
Even
smallest
$10
gift.
or $50, because put all together, they make a difference.
Exactly.
Anna, can you give us a few examples of how you've changed individuals' lives? Because I think people will be able to relate to those stories. And if we look back on our ancestors, well, most of them all came to the United States at one time or another, unless, of course, you're American Indian and then you were here forever. But most of us, we came from something, and most of us most likely came from immigrant families who had very, very little. Please tell us, give us some examples of how the foundation, New York Women's Foundation, has changed the lives dramatically of women and children.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying that. Yes, in New York City, it's a mini globe, right? It's the whole globe is in New York. So we know that's what makes us cosmopolitan. That's what makes us having the best food in the world, the best art in the world, is that inclusion and diversity of everyone. So let me give you a couple of examples. And I am thinking of Mariana, who was from a Latin America country. She immigrated from Latin America. And why? Why did she immigrate? She wanted a better life for her children. And she began her work years ago. It's about 12 years ago, cleaning people's homes. And she began to do that well. She was living in Brooklyn in the Sunset Park area. And like her, others, she began to know others women that were doing the same. And she soon had the opportunity to be invited to create a cooperative of like-minded working women that were cleaning people's homes. And they created the first cooperative called Si Se Puede, which is yes, we can. And that cooperative professionalized that service. It created standards. And the principle of the cooperative was we will work in all the places that we work and we will seek new places. If one day I have to take my child to the doctor and I can't show up to work. We're not going to miss that work day. My colleague, my neighbor is going to go because there is a professional behavior. And I will tell the person in the house that, you know, Sylvia is coming today. She will do exactly what I'll do. We are part of the standards. So little by little, Jean, that worked. And in the end of the third year of the cooperative, it was producing, it had grown, it had more members, it was providing more service. See, the women owners of the homes, they were very happy because they could always count on their professional work. And the workers were very happy because they knew that they could substitute for each other if need be. And that even if they didn't substitute, that they were continuously professionalizing themselves, continuously. So that cooperative at the end of the third year was producing more than $1 million
Wow.
with over 100 members working. And what did they do? Their children, and this is the impact, was not just for them, their dignity, their economic security, but their children began to go reliably to school. They began to make the vaccinations, the medical appointments, the general, just overall. When we interviewed, we did a little evaluation. When we interviewed the mothers, they brought the children with them, boys and girls, who told us in the evaluation, my mother goes to work every day. I want to be like my mother. I want to go to work every day. I am going to school. And we saw the impact on the woman herself, but also on the children. And you know, it was not a huge grant. We gave a grant for them to get guidance in how to construct a cooperative, for
What
them to get guidance in how to recruit more members. The grant was $60,000. And they did so much with that. The capital got multiplied many times.
what a great example of the work of New York Women's Foundation. And you can see that by doing a little, a new business developed that not only helped the women working in the business, but helped the end receiver, which I think it benefited for everybody. And it showed, and then the mothers going out and working, well, they showed good example for their children. As you said, we've had some very high-powered women involved in supporting the New York Women's Foundation. I remember when Mayor Bloomberg was mayor of New York, Diana Taylor, his partner, was our board president. And without going into all the names, Abigail Disney and a few others, we've had so many wonderful women really across the United States and corporations across the United States and beyond. They love the work of New York Women's Foundation and they support us. And I think it's absolutely so important because, as Anna Oliveira said, when you empower a woman and her children, you empower a community. When you empower a community, you empower a nation. When you empower a nation, you empower the world. I know these weren't Anna's own words. These were someone else's who came up with this, but Anna said it today. I'm repeating it because those words are so important. And for all of us to live in a peaceful world where we all get along and can live together, well, we have to reduce the divide between the very wealthy and those that really struggle to survive. And if you want to feel good about who you are and what you do in life, well, you have to help those that struggle because it's not a life just about taking for yourself or your family. You have to be kind, you have to be generous to be happy and to actually move forward in this world. So, Anna, we're running out of time, Anna. We're running out of time, and I we have 2 minutes left, and I want you again to repeat the website, and I want you to leave the audience with a message, and I also want you to give a little advice, and that advice is what you say to a woman who's struggling right now. Who should she go to, and how can she receive help?
Thank you, Jane. So our website is nywf.org. Please go to the website, find out about our work. You see a lot of it there. Become part of the solution. Jean just said, we all want to live in harmony with each other. We all want to live in a place that when we walk around, we feel uplifted. We want to live in a place where we are all thriving. And thriving will vary, but at least we don't have hunger, we don't have violence, we don't have, the homelessness. We can do that. And we can do that in ways that are financially viable, respectful, and that, stick. These are solutions that stick. So what can you do? Make a contribution. Share some of the financial wealth. Think about volunteering. Go to the website and let us know that you're volunteering. I'm interested in giving more. And then for anyone, if you know somebody that is in distress or yourself are in distress, feel free to contact the foundation. We will connect you with your local organization that can respond to you. It could be an issue of economic need. It could be an issue of safety needs. It could be a health issue. We will connect you. When I mentioned that we fund over 150 organizations in New York and beyond, it means that we have the ability to have them be present in your life. We also can connect you to volunteer in your local organization if you would like.
Anna, you have been a wonderful guest, and I want to thank you very much for your time and your work. This concludes Successful Philanthropy. Our guest today, Anna Oliveira. And Anna, a powerhouse of a woman, is the Chief Executive Officer of New York Women's Foundation. I'm Jean Shafiroff, your host. I'll see you next week.